the FBI had that sort of engagement with your own agents embedded into the crowd on January 6th.
If you are asking whether the violence at the Capitol on January 6th was part of some operation orchestrated by FBI sources and or agents, the answer is emphatically
You're saying
not.
no?
No.
You're saying no?
Not
Okay.
violence orchestrated
Let's
by
move
FBI
on.
sources or agents.
Are you familiar with you know what a ghost vehicle is? Director of the FBI certainly should. You know what a ghost bus is?
A ghost bus?
Ghost bus.
I'm not sure I've used that term before.
Okay. Well, it's pretty common in law enforcement. It's a vehicle that's used for secret purposes. It's painted over. These two buses in the middle here, they were the first to arrive at Union Station on January 6th, 0500. I have all this evidence. I'm showing you a tip of this iceberg.
Mr. Chairman.
These two buses
Mr.
are
Chairman.
painted completely white.
Point of order.
Point of order. Sure.
Just run over the time.
I understand, but you'll recall that Ms. Jackson Lee's been allowed to go 2 minutes before. I've been very fair in letting people finish their questioning throughout my tenure as chairman, and I'll continue to be fair on that regard. But I will make a note to the members, if you could stay as close within your time as possible. We have a lot of people that want to ask these gentlemen questions. So with that, the gentleman yields. But your point, I've been very fair in this, Mr. Ivey, with everybody on this side of the aisle just as much.
I don't think I accused you of being unfair, Mr. Chairman.
You're making a point. Okay, thank you. I now recognize Mr.
May I
Gray.
close this statement? Mr.
No,
Chairman?
I think your time is expired, Mr.
I note that other members across the aisle have been granted time, and I object to my question being closed. This is a very significant hearing, Mr. Chairman, and these buses are nefarious in nature and were filled with FBI informants dressed as Trump supporters and deployed onto our Capitol on January 6th. Your day is coming, Mr. Ray.
Point, Mr. Higgins. I now recognize
Your day is coming, Mr. Ray. I tell you what, woo, we got stuff to talk about today. This is the Patriot Mike Show. How y'all doing today? Coming to you live from the downtown metropolis of LaMonte, Missouri. And this is a day that the Lord has made, and I will rejoice and be glad in it. And Marine in the Woods got the word of the day. It's Galatians 3, 5 through 13. Blow the dust off your Bible, crack it open, and read the word from the Lord. You should read the word from the Lord every single day. Well, God never speaks to me. Have you ever read the Bible? Whole bunch of words of him speaking. And if you crack it open and you read it, and you say, Lord, give me the Holy Spirit to help me to understand. When the Ethiopian eunuch was in his cart, his chariot, and he was reading Isaiah. And the disciple came up to him and said, do you understand what you're reading? He says, how can I if no one explains it to me? Well, let me tell you something. In good old mid-Missouri language, the Holy Spirit will explain it to you. All you got to do is trust and listen. He'll explain it to you. All right, let's get started. Make sure you log in to all the places. Make sure you check me out on all the socials. The links are in the description section, because if you don't check me out on the other socials, when I'm gone on the social, especially you YouTubers over there, there's 4 of you. A whole 4 of you. Woohoo! There's 184, 85, 86, 87 on Rumble. It'll get up to 500, 600 watching me right now. But there's 4 of you over there on YouTube. Click the link. Go watch me on Rumble or someplace else, because YouTube will take me down. It's only a matter of time, and you'll never see me again. My goal in life. Just saying. Maybe if I keep saying my goal in life, they won't. But you can follow me on TikToks at Mike Cook 82. You can follow me on X, Twitter, Tweaks, whatever you want to call it, at Patriot Mike Show. You can follow me on Truth at Patriot Mike Show. You can follow me on Facebook at Patriot Mike Show. See, there's a theme here. You can follow me on my personal page on Facebook. More people watch me there than anywhere else. At Mike Cook, just Mike Cook right there. You'll see my ugly mug. You can follow me on Telegram. If you're not following on Telegram, what are you waiting for? All of these videos, all these memes, everything else is over there on Telegram. That's the best place to gather information because that's where I post it to sort it out for the show. You can know what I'm going to talk about before I talk about it. Might not know my opinion on it, but you can get an idea where I'm going. And you can follow me on Rumble. More people watch me Rumble than anywhere else. Once you go to Rumble, create an account, type Patriot Mike Cook, all one word, Patriot Mike Cook. Hit the subscribe button and the follow button and whatever button it is over there. And then while you're doing that, once you've created an account, it's free, doesn't cost anything. You can join in with all the chatty folks over there on Rumble, and they're chatting away right now as we speak. And if you feel so inclined, in the bottom left-hand corner is the subscribe button, which you can subscribe, and the tip jar. It's a little dollar sign. It's kind of faint if you are interested in supporting the show in some way or another. Also, now on Rumble, you can join in Locals. Locals is a private community that in order to get involved, you have to pay. It's $5 a month. And we're gonna start doing some interesting things over there. I've got a couple packets of OVA. When I just got it started and it's growing every single day. When I hit 100 members, I will at random choose a lady member. Oh, no, I'll choose a member. And guys, you can give it to a lady you love. Anybody who's a paid subscriber at Locals, and we will send you a sample, not a sample, whole month supply of OVA. And like I said, if you don't want to use it, you can give it to a lady you love. But anyways, this is what it looks like. It operates kind of like Facebook does. And I'm putting content in there now, live or not live, but recorded videos that you won't be able to see unless you remember. Also, you can communicate with the other members. So it's a little fan club, so to speak, where all the trolls will stay out. And if the trolls get in, they paid. So there you go. Just offering that up for anybody that wants to be interested in that. And if you don't want to do it, he's grifting. He's trying to make money. I'm trying not to have to get a job. Tell you the truth, I'm trying to do this full time. In order to do this full time, I still got to feed my family. So there you go. I'm not trying to get rich. You could do the math. What 100 people paying $5 a month is. That I'm not getting rich doing that. Just paying the bills. That's all I'm trying to do. Anyways, ways you can support the show, ways you could find me. These shows are not live on there. Those will be other things only for that community. And I've got several things I'm thinking about. So, and Aaron says, don't forget your Abu Snack Bar t-shirts. Thanks, Aaron, for reminding me of that. Abu Snack Bar t-shirts. The link is also in the description section. It's over at bonfire.com. Let's see here. There it is right there if you want to write that down. And you can get my other t-shirts too, but the Abu Snack Bar t-shirt right now is the funnest. If you want to get the Abu Snack Bar t-shirt and some of the latest offerings at the Abu Snack Bar.
And at the time,
let me remove that. Some of the latest offerings at the Abu Snack Bar. They make the best BLT sandwiches in the Middle East. Here's the BLT sandwich we're serving to all the people screaming for Abu Snack Bar in the Middle East. Doesn't that look scrumptious and delicious? That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It's a BOT with extra pork sandwich. Oh, yes. It looks fantastic. I think I'll have one today at the Agbu snack bar. Anyways, moving on. Gotta have fun with life, right? Gotta enjoy life. Now back to all the crazy stuff that's happening. That I showed you how they was fight with each other's. Is it kosher? Well, if it's made of bacon, it's not kosher. That's the joke. Come on, man. That's the joke. That's what makes it funny. So anyways, we started the show off with Clay Higgins in a hearing yesterday in which they had Mayorkas and Ray, what's his name? Christopher Ray, who was talking about the border security, lack thereof, and Clay Higgins went off the rails. I mean, the guy totally went nuts, and the stuff is breaking loose. Have I got some information for you? Here is the full 6-minute video. I started with the highlights as he rips into these two guys. Maybe.
On that topic with leading members of the executive branch before us. It's important to reflect upon the simple fact that ultimately Americans are quite capable of defending our own soil, our own cultures and communities against foreign invasion or against armed oppression from within. However, it's far more threatening to our republic if our own government facilitates criminal invasion, and it is incredibly threatening to our citizenry if our government's highest levels of law enforcement coordinate organized campaigns of weaponized oppression, harassment, investigation, arrest and prosecution, and imprisonment of free Americans. That, Mr. Chairman, is the primary threat our homeland indeed faces today. Secretary Mayorkas, I've noted you as a worthy adversary, sir, for 2.5 years, but my issue is not with you today. I'm done with you. I've completed my investigative work. It's quite extensive. I've filed my articles of impeachment against you, and I've provided my investigative work to the appropriate committee. So let me just say that my articles have been filed and my time with you is done. Director Ray, last year, you might recall, sir, our exchange regarding the FBI's involvement on January 6th and prior. I'm happy to jog your memory to quote, according to the record, I asked you, did you have confidential human sources dressed as Trump supporters positioned inside the Capitol on January 6th prior to the doors being opened? You responded, I quote, again, I have to be very careful of what I say. To which I said, it should be a no. Can you not tell the American people no? We did not have confidential human sources dressed as Trump supporters positioned inside the Capitol on January 6th. A year has passed. We sit here again a year later, we the people still do not have a definitive answer from you or anyone else in the Biden administration regarding the FBI presence and participation in the months leading up to the November election and in the weeks and days prior to January 6th and on January 6th here in D.C. We can't get a straight answer, although we have a tremendous amount of evidence harvested and reviewed over the course of the last year. which you will see in September, Stephen D'Artano, formerly in charge of the FBI's field office in Washington, D.C., testified to the House Judiciary Committee that he was aware the FBI informants would attend the Stop the Steal rally thrown on January 6th. You confirmed that the FBI had confidential human sources at the Stop the Steal rally on January 6th here in D.C., sir?
Congressman, as we've discussed before, I'm not going to get into where we have or have not used confidential human sources. But what I
Okay,
can
we'll
tell
move
you,
on.
you asked for a
We'll
definitive
move
answer.
on. It's my time. You said no, you're not going to answer. That's cool. We're watching.
Mr. Chairman, may I answer the
Your
question?
moment will come. This is my time. Earlier this year, an FBI informant who is reported to have, quote, his quote, under oath, marched to the U.S. Capitol with fellow Proud Boys members on January 6th, close quote. He said he was communicating with his FBI handler while people were entering the U.S. Capitol. Can you confirm that the FBI had that sort of engagement with your own agents embedded into the crowd on January 6th?
If you are asking whether the violence at the Capitol on January 6th was part of some operation orchestrated by FBI sources and or agents, the answer is emphatically
You're saying
not.
no?
No.
You're saying no?
Not
Okay.
violence orchestrated
Let's
by
move
FBI
on.
sources or agents.
Are you familiar with you know what a ghost vehicle is? Director of the FBI certainly should. You know what a ghost bus is?
A ghost bus?
Ghost bus.
I'm not sure I've used that term before.
Okay. It's pretty common in law enforcement. It's a vehicle that's used for secret purposes. It's painted over. These two buses in the middle here, they were the first to arrive at Union Station on January 6th, 0500. I have all this evidence. I'm showing you a tip of this iceberg.
Mr. Chairman,
These two buses
Mr.
are
Chairman,
painted completely
This
white.
is where the
This is where the
Democrats try to
Democrats-
interrupt this.
Point of order. Sure.
just run over the time.
I understand, but you'll recall that Ms. Jackson Lee's been allowed to go 2 minutes before. I've been very fair in letting people finish their questioning throughout my tenure as chairman, and I'll continue to be fair on that regard. But I will make a note to the members, if you could stay as close within your time as possible. We have a lot of people that want to ask these gentlemen questions. So with that, the gentleman yields. But your point, I've been very fair in this, Mr. Ivey, with everybody on this side of the aisle just as much.
I don't think I accused you of being unfair, Mr. Chairman. I just
You're
raised
making a
of
point.
order.
Okay, thank you. I now recognize Mr.
May I
Gray.
close this statement, Mr.
No,
Chairman?
I think your time is expired. Mr.
I note that other members across the aisle have been granted time, and I object to my question being closed. This is a very significant hearing, Mr. Chairman, and these buses are nefarious in nature and were filled with FBI informants dressed as Trump supporters and deployed onto our Capitol on January 6th. Your day is coming,
Made your
Mr. Ray.
point, Mr. Higgins. I now recognize Mr.
Your day is coming, Mr. Ray. Now, everybody do me a favor right now, because this is going to be an important discussion today. And everybody needs to hear this. This thing's about to get blown wide open, I think, in the next few weeks. This is not by accident that he did this today. Please, as right now, I want everybody to go crazy, commenting as much. If you're on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, if you're on Rumble, start commenting in the comment section as much as you can. If you're watching this on the rerun, comment. Whether it's on Rumble or Facebook or wherever, comment. I don't care if it's positive or negative or whatever you want to say. Just start talking. Also, hit the reaction buttons wherever you're watching this right now. Hit the reaction buttons. Drive this up. Tag people, share this thing, do everything you can, because this is going to get wild. And we've got some more to talk about. This isn't Clay Higgins said this, and it's not just it's not just a one-off. It's not just some slow talking redneck from Louisiana. No, this was intentional. It's part of the so-called plan And I can prove it to you because not only did he do this, but immediately after. Now, I've told you over and over and over again, don't listen to these anons, these podcasters. I mean, listen to them. You can listen to them, but take it with a grain of salt that it's worth. Take it with a grain of salt when I say things for what it's worth. Take it with a grain. I don't care if they got 300,000 or 500,000 or 10 million followers. There's only a handful of people within the inner circle of Trump. I've got it from an inside source. Top secret classified information. If it was top secret classified information from an inside source and they gave it to you, you both just broke the law and can go to jail. But General Flynn, who is the head cheese in charge of fifth generation warfare, who wrote the actual book on fifth generation warfare, who is on the inside with Donald Trump. You've got Dan Scavino, you've got Devin Nunes, you've got General Flynn, you've got Kash Patel, you've got his sons and his daughters, just to name a few. There might be a couple more I'm leaving out, I don't know, that are the insiders. And when it comes from one of those guys, pay attention to it. Because right after this hearing, General Flynn tweeted, xted, whatever you call it, this. Everybody take this viral now, please. What is he talking about? This is Tony Serga. I've never heard of the guy. He says, my partners have been lifetime data scientists, right there. Well, let's go and read the whole thing, not just the bit that was posted on the Telegram. I followed the link. I went to the link, and this is what it says. This will blow your mind. Mike Lindell may be on the inside too. I don't know if he's on the inside of the next tier. There's a next tier people. Rudy Giuliani's next tier. Sebastian Gorka's probably next tier. Steve Bannon's probably next tier. There's a next tier. There's the top guys, and then the next guy is down, and then the next guy's down. But some of these anons that got these top secret classified information that come out with some zany, outlandish garbage that, whatever, just fill in the blanks. They're in no more tier than I'm in. The only difference is I try to be straight up with you, and I try to not chase the conspiracy theories where one guy says it, then another guy says it, and then a third guy says it, so it has to be true. And they all got it from the one guy that said it in the first place. Not sure you could trust Friend. I'm not sure you could trust Kellogg. How about that one? Roger Stone is probably. John O'Savin is an anon, just like me. He said a lot of stuff. Here is the story that General Flynn wanted you to hear. My partners and I have been lifetime data scientists. We own the digital listen to this. Let me say this slowly. We own OWN, the digital ID of every mobile device and computer in the U.S. Do you understand what they just said there? My partners and I have been lifetime data scientists. We own the digital ID of every mobile device and computer in the U.S. Okay. Every time you get a phone, it creates a digital ID that can be tracked. I'm running 3 computers on the internet right here. Every one of them have a digital ID that can be tracked. That's how they catch all these preverts with their kiddie porn, because their digital ID is tracked. Who is this guy and his partners? I don't know. Let's continue. And have indexed and archived every IP address in the world. Every IP address. That means they're tracking every single internet connection in the world. Our extensive experience in big and deep data, including geo-tracking, geolocation, makes our dozens of data companies. Who sets up a bunch of companies? The top authority for providing data to corporations, law enforcement, U.S. government agencies like the CIA, NSA, DOD, DIA, NGA, NRO, FBI, as well as Interpol and foreign intelligence organizations. So these people evidently know what they're talking about. There are a number, General Flynn wanted this to go viral. There are a number of videos documenting the ghost buses, as well as a number of mostly nondescript DOJ vans that dropped off ninja-wearing individuals that appeared on other videos to have breached the Capitol, cutting fences, removing barricades, opening doors, and other nefarious behaviors. We also tracked the infamous January 6th pipe bomber. Let me say that again slowly for the trolls in the back. We also tracked the nefarious January 6th pipe bomber from one of these vans, these nondescript DOJ, Department of Justice vans. Later, we eventually tracked them to Virginia Metro Station, where a perfect capture of the vehicle license plate was made. Let me stop right there. Events of January 6th. Donald Trump gave his speech. While the speech was going on, pipe bombs were discovered at the DNC and the RNC headquarters. While that was going on, Arizona stood up in rejection of the Electoral College count and had a congressman and a senator confirmed. At which point, according to the Constitution, the joint session of Congress to confirm the Electoral College vote must go into recess while the delegates confirm and decide what to do. If they cannot come to an agreement, and I don't remember what the time frame, within a certain time frame, then the delegates are tossed out, all of them. The Electoral College is tossed out, and the vote for the President of the United States of America goes to each delegate from each state, representing one vote. Each state delegation, doesn't matter the two senators and how many congressmen, they all get one vote. There were way more Republican delegations than there was Democrat. Donald Trump would have won in that case. The first step of that procedure happened. Arizona stood up and rejected the Electoral College count and would not certify. Mike Pence then gavelled the House, the joint session of Congress, into recess so they could go their separate ways and discuss it. Then, before the protests, the Secret Service evacuated the Congress because pipe bombs were found at the DNC and RNC headquarters. They were not evacuated because of the January 6th protests, because they hadn't happened yet. They were just beginning with these ghost buses dropping off these nefarious actors because Donald Trump delayed his speech by an hour and a half. You see, they timed everything to happen when Donald Trump's speech ended, but Donald Trump started an hour and a half late. Might have been on purpose. Why did Donald Trump, who for the last umpteen years while he was president, would say, I'm showing up in Walla Walla, Washington on Friday. He would announce it on Wednesday, and 35,000 people would show up in the rain to listen to him give a speech. Why in the world would he announce that he's having a rally on January 6th at Christmas time, giving that much time? The reason that it's not just Donald Trump would do this. The president's itinerary and schedules only announced a few days out, although the Secret Service knows months in advance. Read Dan Bongino's book. He talks about it. Why would he announce it so early? The reason that they don't tell the president's itinerary, and it doesn't matter if it's Trump or Biden or Obama or Bush or Clinton or Reagan or whoever, doesn't matter. It's the way they do it because it doesn't give your enemy enough time to plan. Donald Trump mentioned it at Christmas time or right after Christmas, which gave them a couple weeks to plan. To set the stage, so when I go back and read this, you can understand what these people are saying between the lines. We also tracked the infamous January 6th pipe bomber from one of these vans. Later, we eventually tracked them to the Virginia Metro station where a perfect capture of their vehicle license plate was made. The FBI has all this information. Shortly after they were alerted, however, AT&T mysteriously, accidentally corrupted that and only that particular cell phone user's data. Oh, gee, how in the world did that happen? Additionally, their mobile device was used. That mobile device was used hundreds of times before and after January 6th, accessing key card required DOJ and FBI parking garages and buildings. So the person that planted the pipe bomb was in a vehicle that they got their license plate on. AT&T mysteriously accidentally corrupted all that data of the person that planted the pipe bomb, whose license plate was captured at a Virginia Metro station. But these people have already got all the data before it was corrupted. Hello. And they're saying that mobile device was used hundreds of times before and after January 6th, accessing a key card required DOJ, FBI, parking garages and buildings. There it is right there. That's what they're referring to. And they said, don't forget undercover police officers posing as Antifa. Here's a video of it right here where they arrest this guy, but they find out that he's a cop. So they let him go. I mean, there's all this evidence that we've ignored. So all this evidence that we ignored. Tina says, now what? You see, here's the thing. Here's the thing. This is information that was suppressed. All this stuff came out right after January 6th, but it was suppressed by social media because there was no truth. Elon Musk didn't own Twitter. There was no Telegram. Me and Brad Barton and a bunch of other people were all taken down. I was getting 60,000 views on Facebook. Now I get 175. I was removed from YouTube. We were all taken down at the same time. But we have gone now through the 3 years of the Biden administration, and people are going, Oh, my grocery bill's expensive. What's going on here? What? They did what on January 6th? This isn't about, we're not got to the phase of punishment yet, because you got to get the American people behind you. That's what this is about. That's what this is about. It's about making it. It's about making it so everybody knows. There's a whole bunch going on here. And now the internet is open that people can see it and it can get shared. That's why General Flynn says, make this go viral, because people don't know this. That timeline that I just told you, people don't know it. They all think that what happened was that the redneck hillbilly mega types stormed the Capitol, scared the piss out of AOC, and they had to evacuate the Capitol. They didn't know that it was already evacuated because of the pipe bombs. The timeline is off. And this is where we're going with this. You see, because while all this information is leaking out, other things are happening. People are starting to put things together. People are starting to understand what's going. Wait. What's going on? Fox News reporting last night.
Fox News alert, a protest has just erupted at the DNC headquarters in Washington. According to Capitol Police, 150 pro-Palestinian protesters have illegally and violently attempted to storm in. Arrests are allegedly being made, and we just saw officers putting on gas masks. All members of the DNC have been evacuated. Police are warning DC residents to stay out of the area, as this could get ugly tonight. Now, we remember this is after pro-Palestinian protesters shook the gates of the White House, vandalized the White House gates, and defaced some of our most sacred monuments right outside the White House at Lafayette Park. So these protests are boiling. They are not simmering down.
So breaking yesterday, protests outside the DNC. Here's some video of what it looked like outside the DNC national headquarters in Washington, D.C. Sorry about the F-bombs. A little bit more. Oops, wrong button. Sorry.
Oh shit! So look, I just got thrown. People getting thrown down the stairs. People getting thrown down the stairs. Yo.
Well, that's what happens when you fiddle around and find out.
Get back now! Get back, guys! Violent motherfuckers. It's a violent motherfucker. I can shut my cameras off. Oh shit. Hey.
Remember, these are Democrat Party voters. Democrat Party is severing, by the way. We'll get to that one in a minute. And there's more coming out about this, even as we speak. At this protest last night, was this gal. We're going to get into this in a minute.
Outside the DNC, we're outside the Democratic Party headquarters because this party claims to be on the side of life and peace and equality, and we're saying that we want them to live up to their values and oppose this horrific war and call for a ceasefire now, and we're being responded to by the police shoving anti-war activists down the stairs, shoving peaceful protesters back with their bikes, and because our party that 80% of us want a ceasefire, would rather beat up protesters.
Hold on. One second.
And of course, just as she's getting that, you got some crazed, demon-possessed nut job in the background. And then there's this. Let's see, is this it? No, that's not it. Let me find it here. It's this one right here. It says NYCDSA. This is who this is from. Posting those videos I just showed. Says, our comrades are in D.C. tonight, shutting down the DNC for ignoring the 68% of Americans and 80% of Democrats demanding a ceasefire now in Gaza. Or ceasefire in Gaza now. NYCDSA stands with JVP Action, if not now.org, Dim Socialists, and this is Antifa. These are paid actors. And if you don't believe me, we're going to dig deeper. These are the same people who wore mega gear on January 6th, who rode in those buses. I guarantee it'll come out eventually. Watch and see. Here's a little thread off of Twitter. It says, see how this works? See how it works with black bloc actions? The role is to be the normal face and upload the whitewash, the violence of her compatriots. Okay, now what are we talking about? We're talking about this lady right here. As she finds the camera, just like the other lady did. She finds the camera.
We're outside of the DNC demanding that they have a ceasefire. We are peacefully protesting. We are talking. Stand with 80% of Americans who need a ceasefire for the people of Gaza. The police have come, just threw me down the steps. I don't have a shoe on right now. They pepper sprayed us. They've been wrestling with us.
We're doing shit right behind you right now.
We are demanding a ceasefire for the people of Gaza. And this is how they treat us. The violence is going on. The training of the police and the IDF is hand in hand. We are peacefully protesting. Hundreds of people are out of the streets. And this is how they treat us.
Let Gaza live! Let Gaza live! Let Gaza live! Let Gaza live!
So there's that. And then it goes on to say, compare videos with canned talking points. Now listen, here's the video.
We're outside the DNC. We're outside the Democratic Party headquarters because this party claims to be on the side of life and peace and equality. And we're saying that we want them to live up
All the same talking points, all rehearsed.
call for a ceasefire now, and we're being responded to by the police shoving anti-war activists down the stairs, shoving peaceful
That's the one we just saw a minute ago. Says their viral talking points outside the DNC. Ceasefire now. Protesters peaceful, police violent. 80% want ceasefire now. They both cite that specific figure. This is totally scripted. The banners go up in front of the violent and socialist violence. The white woman hung back. The white women hang back to video their highly scripted outrage. The whole thing gets fed to the social media and amplified by the mainstream media, regurgitates their preferred narrative, just like the Covington kids. Now, here you go. This is her. She was also at the protest in D.C. at the Rotunda, the one organized by Rashid Tlaib, where they entered the Rotunda, the one that Marjorie Taylor Greene's all met, the same lady. Right here. Same lady. She's been in D.C. for the last 2 weeks. We're not leaving till we call for a ceasefire.
Many of us have tried to reach our lawmakers in many different ways this week, and we know they are not listening, which is why we have come into the senator's office to read names of people who have been killed, and also to say, these are some of the people who will be with you in your call to end this war, in your call to stop sending weapons to an Israeli government that has made explicit its genocidal intent and rhetoric when it comes to the Palestinian people. We are with you. These are the people who are with you. We're reading the names of Israelis and Palestinians, many of whom are our loved ones. And we're here to say that we are not leaving until you call for a ceasefire, as we know you can, and as we fear only you can.
That's right. You call for a ceasefire. This one was with her banging on the cops in the front tonight. The same gal. She was the one going F-bomb, F-bomb, F-bomb. Same lady, same people, same thing, same organization. And I bet you $1 to the donut that if we go look really, really hard, this is why they don't want to release the January 6th videos. We will find these same people on January 6th. I wonder how many of them have key cards that open up garages and office buildings that only the FBI DOJ can open. You're right, Tina. She says, like that stops wars, stop fighting. Okay, so crazy. Yeah, you're right. See, you know what stops wars? Absence of enemies. That's when you have peace, when there's no more enemies. The Romans knew how to do it. They'd invade a land. They'd say, become Roman or die. I don't want to be Roman. And then they would salt the fields and poison the wells so you can never come back. I'm just saying, I'm not saying that's what we should do. I'm just saying that this world has always been governed by the aggressive use of force. Always. Since Cain hit Abel with a rock. And you want to deny that, you deny the history of man. And he who can apply the aggressive use of force more efficiently wins. And if you don't like that, don't like it. Well, we can change it if we all just feel good and sing Kumbaya. No, you can't. Because there's always some bad guy out there who will take advantage of your Kumbaya. Axios reporting. What are we hearing? One House Democrat who was present at the DNC told Axios, it scared me more than January 6th, recounting that they were about to leave and return to the Capitol when the police told them not to exit. Someone sent out word for people to come back, and the police said it's not safe. The lawmaker said police were wearing gas masks. This was not peaceful. The lawmaker said that they and their other colleagues were evacuated safely. Representative Brad Sherman, Democrat, California, said he was also present, posting on X, thankful for the police officers who stopped them and for helping me and my colleagues get out safely. So this is Axios reporting. Oh, that's not the story. I guess that's the end of the story. I thought it was longer than that. Huh. Oh, I've read the end of it. That's why. It says lawmakers were evacuated from the Democratic National Committee headquarters and House office building lockdown on Wednesday after law enforcement clashed with protesters protesting for ceasefire in Israel and Hamas war. Why it matters. The incident, which resulted in arrests. How much you want to bet? Anybody here want to take a bet that none of these people wind up in the DC gulag? None of these people wind up. I bet you all 150 have already been released. Anybody want to bet on that? And their charges will go away. Marks the latest in a series of large demonstrations on Capitol Hill over the Middle East conflict that have been putting Capitol security on edge. What they're saying, the Capitol Police said in a statement that 6 officers were treated for injuries ranging from minor cuts to being pepper sprayed to being punched. One protester was arrested for assault on a police officer, they said. On the other side, If Not Now, which led the protest along with other left-wing pro-Palestinian groups, said in a statement Thursday morning that over 90 protesters were injured in the clashes. If Not Now national spokesperson, even that's the lady that we were just watching, told Axios late on Wednesday the violence was one-sided by the police. The goal was just to block the door to the DNC building in a nonviolent civil disobedience. Yeah, but the police, you can't do that, see? You can't block the door. Bogart said, adding that demonstrators refused to comply with orders from law enforcement prompted the most brutal police response I've ever seen. The big picture, the Capitol Police told congressional staff in alert Wednesday night that they were working to keep people back, approximately 150 who were illegally and violently protesting. All members were evacuated from the area per police. A subsequent alert warned staffers that entering and exiting the nearby House office buildings was prohibited due to significant demonstration activity. House offices reported a short time later, police said the protests had dissipated. So there you have a canned disruption designed to create a narrative and panic. And I'll tell you what, this is going to get worse, by the way. See, these little flare-ups like this, they need something bigger. And just like they did with the George Floyd, just like they did with some of the others, that was before George Floyd happened, before they burnt down an entire inner city, they had all these little protests here and there and here and there and here and there to build up, to create the bubbling cauldron for it to break loose. Then they had hundreds of thousands of regular people protesting peacefully, mind you, all over Minneapolis, until Fed Boy, all dressed in black bloc with an umbrella, went and knocked the windows out of the auto parts store. And that's when it was started. And then he got in the car and drove away. And the trolls are out there. Oh, you're just a conspiracy. Hey, I'm showing it to you. They're just mostly peaceful protesters that don't want the tyranny going on. Oh, apartheid state. Do you know what apartheid state really is? I bet you there's people right now in South Africa that wish they still had an apartheid state. Instead of mobs of people going in and slaughtering men, women, and children on their farm to take their farms to give them to the Chinese so they could strip mine them. Yeah. Gotta look that up. Gotta educate yourself a little bit about things. Just to switch gears a little bit to talk about other things that are going on. Oh, speaking of other things that are going on, let me play this video. This is kind of off the subject, but maybe on the subject. Look, let me make something as clear as possible. I firmly believe in the Second Amendment. I firmly believe that you should be prepared to defend yourself and your family 100% all the time, every time. However, if you find yourself in a situation and people are acting stupid, your best bet is to leave. Leave. Don't. I've seen video after video after video after video where people, my wife was watching Investigating Discovery Channel the other day, and it was talking about this gangland shooting, and these people started shooting bam, 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 at this gas station, and people are standing around going, oh, somebody's shooting. What's happening? That's how you end up dead. Leave. The best thing to do when stuff starts breaking loose is get out of the way. And here's a perfect example. This dude starts acting a fool in a subway station. This dude right here. He's acting a fool in a subway station. And this other dude's acting a fool in the subway station. But look at this lady right here. Just standing there. They're fighting. I think I'll just stand here and get myself killed. Because watch what this guy does. What? If you find yourself in this situation right here, you need to exit stage left immediately. Do not stand there and become a victim. He was mad and she was white. That's all that matters. It's a good thing the train wasn't moving. Just saying. Just remember that. If you ever find yourself in a situation, the number one best thing to do is leave. Get out the way. Because you become a victim very quickly. Things could get ugly very quickly. In other news, we had the California cleaning up San Francisco because their leader and great grand poobah was coming to confide with the Biden administration and all of the lefties in our government. So they had to put on a show. So here is Babylon B reporting. Newsom assures homeless they can resume pooping on the sidewalks once his bosses leave. You know, for the longest time, let me see if I could do this. My show, the Patriot Mike Show, I had my background. And you all remember seeing it with the Chinese flag with Righteous Rebellion on the back, like that. That was my background for the longest time. The People's Republic of America. And that flag was to represent that we've been bought out and sold to the Chinese by the current administration. And people mocked me for it. And people said that's ridiculous. That how dare you? And I had spray painted righteous rebellion on there just to show that I was rebelling against our overlords and masters. And I brought that back just to remind you, because the funny thing is that was meant as satire. That was meant as demonstrating absurdity while being absurd, as Rush Limbaugh used to so expertly do. And I attempt to do it in an amateur fashion that could never be equal to Rush Limbaugh. However, sometimes your satire becomes reality. So there we have the leader of China in the United States of America, with people holding up. I mean, this is the streets of San Francisco, flying the flag. Yeah. We're bought and sold, ladies and gentlemen. These people hate us. And I'm not talking about the Chinese. No. Our very own government hates us. They hate us. They hate you. They hate me. They despise the great unwashed who don't understand and don't get it. You know, here's another one. Come on. Janet B. Yellen, as she lovingly look at the looks on the face of Gavin Newsom and his wife. How wonderful, how lovely, how great. Donald Trump mega evil. But this guy, he shows us all how it's done. Here's Joe Biden. I used to hang out with Xi Jinping on the Tibetan Plateau. Many times I've spoke to him and I've told him, you could describe America with one word. Yep. Joe Biden selling us out to the Chinese one secret at a time. Actually, probably fast tracking them. Here's some more. I got some more on the Chinese Xi's visit. Let me get to it here. Here they are. The media in a press conference is asking Joe Biden questions. And they asked him, is Xi a dictator?
President, after today, would you still refer to President Xi as a dictator? This is a term that you used earlier this year.
Well, look, he is. I mean, he's a dictator in the sense that he is a guy who runs a country that is running a country that is based on a form of government totally different than ours. Anyway,
he is. He's a dictator. Uh-huh. Yeah, the Chinese weren't very happy about that, by the way. China foreign ministry on Biden's statement today that President Xi is a dictator. Such rhetoric is completely incorrect and constitutes irresponsible political manipulation. China strongly opposes this. And Xi gave a speech. I don't have the video because it's translated, whatever. I'll just tell you. Basically, what Xi said was China has no interest in America or in getting involved in the internal affairs of America. And I don't believe that for a minute because they're totally involved because they own every one of our political candidates and about probably 90% of the bureaucracy. China wants America to be thriving and prosperous. That part I believe. And America doesn't need to have any interest in China and its internal affairs. And America should want China to be thriving and prosperous. You know what he just said there, that thriving and prosperous bit? That's Donald Trump. Make America great again. When Donald Trump says, I want to make America great again, and Putin should worry about making Russia great again, and Xi should worry about making China great again, and every other country should be worried about making their countries great again, that is rugged individualism. That is Americanism. If China worried about China and Russia worried about Russia, and the United States worried about the United States, we would have peace in this world. If Gaza, if Hamas worried about the Palestinian people, and Israel worried about the Israelis people, then Hamas wouldn't have crossed the border and slaughtered a bunch of Israelis, and Israel wouldn't have to go down there and destroy Hamas. But that's all fine and dandy. But that's not the way the world works. The world is governed by the aggressive use of force. You don't have to like it for it to be so. Oh, I forgot about these ones. Oh, I can't believe I missed it. I'll go back to those in a second. Got more on the protest. But first, here is more lovey-dovey from Joe Biden to his master, Xi Jinping.
Ready, close. Ready, done. Ready, face. Forward.
And here's some more.
Well, Mr. President, it's good to see you again. We've spent many hours together over the last 10 or 12 years, and to host you in the United States is a great honor and a pleasure, particularly as it relates to our summit today.
Absolute destruction. These people are just bent on the destruction of the United States. So I showed you this one, but I forgot to scroll down. It says Democrats, Citizen Free Press, Democrats have a massive problem on their hands. And their problem is this. Everybody knows. Fed. We must go into the Capitol. Our government is conspiring against the American people. That's what Clay Higgins was talking about. That's what he was pointing out. That's what he was pointing out. Kash Patel responded to the Z's trip to California, and this is what he had to say. Let me pull it up here real quick. Come on, load. Thank you. Biden and Newsom welcome the CCP and XI to American shores while the world burns at their doing and U.S. hostages remain in captivity. Still worried about mean tweets? General Flynn pointed out how they were flying banners and flags and all this stuff over there in California. They're flying. Let's see, is this it right here? No. They were flying the flags and stuff out in California. When just a couple days ago, they were in D.C. tearing down American flags, and in New York, tearing down American flags. They're flying the Chinese flag, no problem. But the American flag, we got to tear that down. It's just the world we live in, folks. Our country hates us, the American people. Now, here's a story from CNN Politics. Biden and Xi agree to steps on fentanyl and restoring military communication and official in talks, official says. President Joe Biden and Chinese President Xi Jinping agreed to take steps to curb fentanyl production and restore military communications during the summit Wednesday, a senior U.S. official told CNN. Biden also made clear China should lean on Iran to avoid steps that would aggravate the tense situation in the Middle East. Now, I just want to add some talking points. If you go to my Telegram page 3-4 days ago, I shared a post where CCP Chinese engineers were captured by IDF forces in the tunnels with Hamas. The engineers were helping Hamas dig and stabilize more complex tunnel systems. So the Chinese are involved in that war. The other thing is, Joe Biden had talked with Xi Jinping, and they agreed to curb, not stop, curb fentanyl production. Let me tell you, that's Barbara Streisand. And I got some stuff from Barbara Streisand, but that's Barbara Streisand. BS. You see, the Chinese could tell you about indirect warfare, about fifth generation warfare, psychological warfare, because they're the biggest victims of it. You see, the British used opium in the Opium Wars, what the Opium Wars were about. The British, the East Indies Trade Corporation, they were dealing in opium around the world. And they flooded China with it and got most of the people in China hooked on it. And it destroyed the infrastructure. It destroyed the homogeny of the Chinese people in the 1800s. Allowed them to be easily occupied and conquered by the British and turned into a British colony until they decided to push back. And they learned a lesson about that. See, the Chinese as a culture are way forward thinkers. They're the oldest continuous civilization on the planet, by the way, other than maybe Israel. But continuously, as a homogeny. What they're doing with fentanyl and flooding our countries, our cities, our streets with this fentanyl is exactly what the British did to them in the Opium Wars. They're turning a whole generation of people into zombies. drugged out of their minds, pooping on the streets of California. But here Joe says, we're going to curb it. We're going to curb it. No, what we need to do is build a fence and not let it in anymore. Stop it. We stop it on our side, because that's what the Chinese ended up doing. They ended up sitting in their military and confiscating and destroying the opium fields and destroying the opium shipments. And it caused war with Great Britain. And Great Britain had a military, and they squashed them several times. But that's what it was about. And they learned their lesson. And they realized that they could destroy America. One fentanyl pill at a time. Leaders also stressed that they wanted to stabilize their country's relationship after months of heightened tensions because Donald Trump. So how do we stabilize? Well, we give in to everything the Chinese want, of course. The results, which were expected ahead of the talks, amount to progress in improving the still tense U.S.-China relationship, but they stop short of a joint statement or other declaration of cooperation. The senior U.S. official said China agreed to go after companies who produce precursor chemicals to fentanyl. Any company in China is a communist Chinese company. So if they're going to go after themselves, it's not going to happen. The powerful narcotic that has fueled the drug crisis in the United States, the U.S. will watch closely to see if China follows up on the commitments. China never follows up on their commitments. They tell you one thing and then they don't care. The standard operating procedure. Xi also agreed to mechanisms that would address potential military miscalculations and agreed to forums for the two sides to present their concerns. Senior administration officials said leading up to Wednesday's summit that their Chinese counterparts had been reluctant over the past few months to agree to any reestablishing of military to military communication. You know, like telling the Chinese that if Donald Trump is going to start nuclear war by bombing the Chinese first, that the Joint Chiefs of Staff would let them know. But it was an issue that Biden himself and top advisors like Secretary of State Anthony Blinken, National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, and Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin raised in nearly every conversation we've had with the Chinese, as the U.S. tried to underscore that it was absolutely critical that the channel be reopened. Officials said that the Chinese spy balloon incident in particular underscores the importance of military-to-military communications. There was communication going on, I guarantee. Also in the news when it comes to Biden was this story that Waters had on about the cocaine in the White House. Because if you want to get high, come take a ride, cocaine. I want you to remember that there are scientists out there, doctors out there, follow the science, that have said that cocaine has an effect on the mind of dementia patients, that while they're on the cocaine, I don't know what that cocaine is, while they're on the cocaine, it opens the pathways up in the brains and makes the patient more coherent and able to process memories. That's weird. So with that in mind, here's Jesse Walters.
Fox News alert, primetime FOIA'd the Secret Service over the cocaine investigation, and we just got back over 100 pages of documents. And the Secret Service has been lying to you about everything. Here's why. When the cocaine was first found, they said it was in the library where the first family lives.
We have a yellow bar. stating cocaine, hydrochloride, they matched found in the library.
Then there were reports that the cocaine was actually found outside the Situation Room.
Now the investigation has progressed, and so they're saying the West Executive entrance, which, as you noted, is closer to the Situation Room.
The Secret Service then said no. It was in a cubby with a lot of foot traffic around it. And yes, there are cameras, but that particular cubby was in a blind spot. How do you mistake the library for the Situation Room and the Situation Room for the cubbies? Because when I'm in a library, I know I'm in a library because there's books everywhere. Does it look like there's books everywhere? That's a wall of cubbies. They say the coke was found in locker number 50, right there in the middle. And there's a key missing. And what do you think the chances are that the Secret Service has the key? Because Primetime thinks the coke may have been planted in the cubby after it was found in the library. Good thing we have the documents from the Secret Service right here. But here's the thing. The Secret Service redacted where the cocaine was first found. Now, if the cocaine was actually first found in the cubby and they photographed it in the cubby, why would they redact that? And then at one point, the Secret Service says the suspicious substance is a white powder in a small Ziploc bag on the redacted lobby floor. What lobby floor? The lobby into what room? The library? And I thought they found the cocaine in the cubby. Well, the cubby's not on the floor. The cubby's on the wall. And later on in the night, they said it was in the cubby, and they didn't redact that. They want us to think it was found in that little locker. And initially, after the hazmat team tested it, the white powder came back positive for opioids and amphetamines. It was only after additional tests that they determined it to be cocaine. And that's confusing because on the audio you heard from hazmat, it was cocaine. A white powdery opioid? That's fentanyl. Maybe. I thought these tests were supposed to be accurate. So far, this bag has tested positive for opioids, amphetamines, cocaine, caffeine, and baking soda. But here's where it gets even more suspicious. They told us they didn't find any DNA, but the documents say they did. Remember, the coke baggies been blown up. The Secret Service took the evidence from Quantico and they destroyed it. They didn't want the FBI to have it, but there's more evidence that they didn't destroy. An envelope with 3 tubes of DNA. Where'd they get the DNA from? They got the DNA off the baggie. So the Secret Service lied, and so did the White House. They did find DNA on the baggie, and the DNA was processed and has been moved to an evidence vault for preservation. So the Secret Service has an insurance policy. We asked the Secret Service for an explanation, and they said, oh, it's secondary DNA. But the initial Secret Service report clearly said there was no DNA found and there is no physical evidence. But the documents show they're keeping a DNA sample in an evidence locker. Is this so Biden's dog bites another agent, they have something? We don't know. And the Secret Service told Primetime they may end up destroying the DNA evidence at some point down the road. You know, protocol. Primetime asked the Secret Service, why didn't you take DNA samples from your suspect list? They said they would have needed a court order. This tells me 2 things. The Secret Service didn't want to crack the case, or the Secret Service knew the coke was found in the library and put it in a cubby and closed the case. James Fitzgerald is a retired FBI criminal profiler and a forensic linguist. James, so they have DNA and they've had it the whole time and they're preserving it. What's going on here?
I think you'd almost have to do a few lines of cocaine, Jesse, to understand all that you went through and all this investigation has been happening with this investigation over the last few months. It seems like obfuscation is the prime operating word here. Confuse everyone as much as possible. I'll leave out the clue game references with library to Cubby and who knows where Colonel Mustard may be or someone like that. But this should be a very simple investigation. A bag is found somewhere. Police, Secret Service are called. Here's the evidence. Send it to the lab. But there's just so much going on here. You can't help but ask yourself, and you don't have to even be an experienced profiler, just ask yourself, there's just too much gone wrong here. No investigator is that bad. Even a crack investigator, no pun intended, would somehow get the basic information right here, get it off to the right lab, and get the primary DNA from the baggie, if the baggie still exists, and that could still be very valuable. All you need is 1 to 10 nanograms of DNA material for touch DNA, and you have your suspect. You have the suspect. People give the swabs, and you should narrow this down within days.
Does it seem like to you that they found it on the floor of the library? Because that's what it sounds like to me. They found it on the floor of the library, and then they moved it all around, and it wound up in a cubby where there was no camera and 500 suspects. Isn't that what it is? It's a cover-up.
Yeah, that's who knows, the person on the floor there might have been a person on the floor of the library where this cocaine was found, and they'd take it off of his hand, then put it into the cubby. There's all kinds of counter and triple counter moves going on here to, again, somehow confuse those of us in the public and certainly some investigators. Now, I was on with you back in July about this. I am sure there are some investigators chomping at the bit, Secret Service, FBI, that really want to get to the bottom of this, but they're being told by their appointed bosses that no, this is, keep the littleness whole matter, and it'll just go away.
Would it make
thanks
sense?
to you guys getting your FOIA request back,
Sure.
we know more.
We got a thick stack here, and we're just going through it. Would it make sense for the Secret Service to hold on to this DNA sample just in case, just in case anything happened or anything needed to happen?
There's never a reason to get rid of evidence, certainly within weeks or months of a crime. 10 years down the line, maybe, but not at this point in time. It's just no rationale for that.
Yeah, they blew up the Coke bag and then they kept the DNA. Very, very interesting.
So, remember the story, the point I started out with. That a person who suffers from dementia, been doing good till now. A person that suffers from dementia can have a substantial turnaround can go from this look on this face excuse me, sorry, to able to do a debate overnight. If they're on cocaine. Now, I even have a cough drop in my throat. I'm going to stop. We switch cough drops here. The other ones seem to be working better. Yeah, the evidence was blown away by Hunter. Yep. Now we're going to switch gears, and we're going to talk about Nikki Haley. But first, before we go to Nikki Haley, do me a favor. Go check out the Liquid BioCell. If you haven't done so, why not? Look, there's hundreds of people that buy this product from me every single month. And I so much appreciate the people that try it the first time. But I'm blown away that people have been buying this product every month for 3 years now. That tells me that this product's working for them. It'll probably work for you too if you just give it a try. If you're suffering from any of these, dry eye, brittle nails, dry skin, thinning hair, gum issues, aging skin, aching joints, that's what this product takes care of. It lubricates your joints, improves mobility, joint mobility, and lubrication, supports cardiovascular health, improves skin hydration, firmness, and tone. does it with a collagen HA major technology with a bunch of other stuff thrown in there to help hyperactivate the collagen molecules that are in there. You can't get this from any other collagen substance. Can't go to Walmart and buy the foo-foo powder collagen and expect it to work like this. This stuff is a game changer. Comes in several different formulas, which is whatever one best suits your needs. Even has a diabetic one that has a lot less sugar in it so that people who have diabetes can take it. Always consult your doctor before taking a new supplement, by the way. And it has changed my life because, you know, when I was a younger man, I used to go out, play G.I. Joe, 60-pound rucksack, full battle gear, blah, 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 running 5-10 miles every single day for years and years and years, caught up with me. And this lubricating your joint stuff, let me tell you, makes a big, big difference. And when I stopped taking it after the first bottle, boy, did I notice it was working. Whew, I tell you what, changed my life. And also don't forget for the ladies, the OVA product. The OVA is changing the game for the ladies. It is a supplement designed specifically to sync with the 3 phases of the menstrual cycle before, during, and after to help improve the normal symptoms of PMS. And and also helps with menopause if you get the OVA M version designed specifically for that. My wife says this product has changed her life. My mother-in-law said this product has changed her life. This product has taken my teenage daughter from this to this. I mean, the difference is night and day. So you got to try this product. So how do you get a hold of it? You go over to the Patriot Mike Show on Facebook. Type Patriot Mike Show on Facebook. It'll pop right up. While you're there, subscribe, follow, all that stuff. Pinned to the top of the post is a picture of my beautiful wife where she's eating the chocolate sauce, makes your pants fall off. That's another product we have called Trim. It is another collagen-based product that's specifically designed to inhibit fat storage, improve muscle tone, and restore youthful skin. My wife has lost over 20 pounds on that product, and she's doing it again. We both started taking it. I'm down 15 pounds or so. She's down about 10. It's making a big difference in our life. And it tastes like chocolate ice cream topping. So, I mean, bonus. Anyways, go to that picture. Say you want to know more about these products. We'll send you a link to the whole family of products that we represent. And you can go over there to the e-commerce site. You don't have to sign up. You don't have to become a member. You don't have to watch a bunch of videos. You don't have to, knock on the doors and give a bunch of phone calls to your friends, neighbors, relatives, and try to con them in. You don't have to do any of that. Just give us your name, where we're going to ship it to, and how you're going to pay for it. That's it. That's all we want. It's all the information we want. And if you're like, I hate Facebook, I don't want to be Facebook no more. I understand. It's kind of like YouTube. YouTube sucks. If you're over on YouTube, here's an easy way that you can get a hold of this product is you could just do it the old-fashioned way and send it the old-fashioned way. Snail mail. You can send me a text message to 660-620-2644 or an email to patriotmikeshow@gmail.com. We'll send you a link. Like I said, save you a few bucks off your first purchase. And you got nothing to lose, everything gained, because all these products have 100% money back guarantee. So give it a try while you can. Now we're going back to Nikki Haley. Here's what Nikki Haley, candidate for Republican nominee of president.
Are you on board with cutting entitlements in a big and meaningful way?
Social Security goes bankrupt in 10 years. Medicare goes bankrupt in 8. Anyone that says they're not going to take on entitlement reform means they're going to go in and be president and leave the country bankrupt. You can't do that. Yes, we have to do entitlement reform, but that doesn't mean you touch anyone that's in the system. We should keep our promises. America should always keep her promises. But for everybody coming into the system, like my kids in their 20s, you change it. You say we're going to raise the retirement age to reflect life expectancy. We're no longer going to do cost of living increases. We're going to do increases based on inflation. We're going to limit the benefits on the wealthy. And we're going to expand Medicare Advantage plans so that we have more competition. We have to start looking at a common sense way to do it without hurting people, but our kids know they're not going to get it otherwise.
I'm not sure. Can you make the math work if you just focus on the generation that's walking into Social Security for the first? So if you're 18 years old now, I think you have to probably, unfortunately, approach folks like me and others who might be in their 40s or even 30s already.
It's not true. I mean, that's what everybody wants to think. That's what they want to do is pigeonhole you into that. Look, we did pension reform in South Carolina. We changed it for people coming in. But
I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. I'm saying you might have to do it.
No, I mean, look, we have to be realistic. We've
Right.
got to speak the hard truths. But there are so many other things we need to be doing as well.
So she wants to fiddle around the edges of Social Security, Medicaid. She wants to take the people that are going into Social Security now and adjust it to the average lifespan. You see, because look, any politician, and I include Trump in this, who sits here and tells you, now Trump won't touch the Social Security issue right now because he's running for office. He says we need to make sure that it's good for everybody. That's he just makes a generalized statement. But any politician, especially that does what she does right here, we need to make Social Security and Medicaid work for everybody. We need to go in and adjust it to the average lifespan. Now, what does that mean? 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 Well, you see, when they started Social Security's Ponzi scheme, the date that you got Social Security was 1 year after the expected lifespan of a person. Why? Because they wanted you to freaking die and not get any of the money. So the average lifespan of a man has gone down. It's like 72 years, and of a woman, it's 78 years. They're going to make it 75 years before you can get, you're 75 years old before you get any Social Security. That's Nikki Haley's plan, to make sure you die before you get any of it. But here's the thing. Here's the big problem. We're $34 trillion in debt, and the House just passed a bill to add another $2 trillion to that by March. So by March, we'll be $36 trillion in debt. We will add, we are having $1 trillion. By March, we'll have $2 trillion in interest payments. We only have a $4 trillion budget. I mean, no, not a budget, an income, because we spend a hell of a lot more than that. And she wants to fiddle around the edges of Social Security so they can continue to tax you that money and keep the slush fund going. We need real politicians to stand up and say this. If it's not in the Constitution, the government has no authority to do it. And the Social Security is one of them. We are broke. Let me tell you something. They're not going, and she says she wants to take cost of living. She wants to get rid of the cost of living increases, the COLAs, and tag it to inflation. The cost of living, the COLAs, was supposed to be tagged to inflation. So they'll just change the name and it's still going to be the same. Let me tell you something. They're not going to get rid of Social Security. But they're going to inflate the dollar so much with all this printing, with the trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars, that the $10,000 a month that you're going to get from Social Security by the time an 18-year-old is 79 years old to get it, the $10,000 a month that you're going to get, because that's the math, just trust me here, after all the inflation, and after all the increases come in the 60 years that an 18-year-old before he receives his payment, if he doesn't die first, at $10,000, well, it's going to cost you $300 for a carton of milk, $600 for eggs. Your home down there in the villages You know, where they got the pineapples upside down there in the villages where they got video of Joe Biden singing, "It's America's friendliest hometown." Boy, that makes that song sound different. Your home, your retirement home down in the villages will cost you $900 million because our dollar won't be worth anything. It makes no difference how much money they're going to give you or when they give it to you if the dollar's not worth anything. If that fiat currency they're paying you in is devalued, just take a look at Argentina today. Take a look at Venezuela a few years ago. Take a look at Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe, where they had, if you, for every 4 quadrillion, a quadrillion is 1,000 trillion. For every $4,000 trillion of Zimbabwe money you had in the bank a few years ago, when they decided to trash their currency, they gave you five American dollars. So $4 quadrillion bought you a flipping Big Mac, and today it won't get you one. And that's Nikki Haley's America. And any of these other politicians that don't come to the reality that our government is broke. Period. No hyperbole. That's the facts, Jack. I'm not joking. Here's some more from Nikki Haley, presidential candidate.
When I get into office, the first thing we have to do, social media accounts, social media companies, they have to show America their algorithms. Let us see why they're pushing what they're pushing. The second thing is every person on social media should be verified by their name. That's, first of all, it's a national security threat. When you do that, all of a sudden people have to stand by what they say, and it gets rid of the Russian bots, the Iranian bots, and the Chinese bots. And then you're going to get some civility when people know their name is next to what they say.
Accountability.
And they know their pastor and their family members going to see it. It's going to help our kids, and it's going to help our country.
So the algorithms, I can see that. But what makes social media great is autonomy. Now, some people hide behind that. The trolls get on here with a fake name and start saying crazy stuff in the feed. But I'm out open. I show who I am. I don't really care. Come at me, man. I just got these new solid steel slugs. They're pretty wild. You got to see them. Anyways, moving on. So Nikki Haley wants to out everybody on the internet, wants to collect your information in the name of national security. Have a nice list for the government on what everybody thinks. So when they're ready to round you up, they'll know where to go. Because that's fair. Nikki Haley takes fire over unconstitutional plan to force all social media users to be verified by name. Nikki Haley, a defense industry lobbyist distinguished as an ongoing MILF, floated what many are calling flatly unconstitutional idea to force all social media users verify their identities online in order to rid the world of bots from Russia, China, Iran, North Korea, and of course, hand the U.S. government a nice list of exactly who's saying what and where. Maybe she'll end up in the villages too. America's friendliest hometown, the villages. Do y'all remember Trump or Biden singing it? You can't look that video up, by the way. It has been whitewashed from the internet. Here's another video of Nikki Haley telling you exactly who she is.
What happens? He comes out of the gate. He hits the female chair of the party. He hits the female
Talking
anchor
about Vivek.
on the platform, and then he hits me. And I'm not saying anything.
I ain't saying, I'm just saying.
But he might have a girl problem. I'm just saying he might have a girl problem. He comes out of the gate. He hits the female chair of the party. He hits the female anchor on the platform, and then he hits me. And I'm not saying anything.
I ain't saying, I'm just saying.
But
He might have a girl problem. So Vivek was picking on Nikki Haley because she's a girl. Because that's the defense I want a strong, proud conservative to use. Don't pick on me because I'm a girl. Yep, that's going to work out well in the arena of ideas. That's going to work out well in the when we get out here to try to start attacking or defending ourselves against the world leaders. But I'm a girl. Look, I'm all for strong, independent women, and I wouldn't mind a strong, independent woman being a president at some point. But here's the thing. See, there was world leaders, independent, strong women, world leaders on a world stage at one time. Margaret Thatcher comes to mind. But I don't think Margaret Thatcher would ever say, because I'm a girl. Nikki Haley is not ready for that, and I don't think she ever will be. But she is part of the GOP, and they're all a bunch of girls. This is from the Federalist. Says the GOP is a fake opposition party with no vision for the country. When Louisiana Mike Johnson was pulled from obscurity and elected House Speaker last month, many conservatives were cautionably optimistic that a man with self-professed biblical worldview and somewhat solid voted rating or voted record would be the fighter they needed to halt the Democrats' Marxist takeover of society. Unfortunately, it didn't take long to discover that Johnson is just a weak-kneed as his Republican predecessors. On Tuesday afternoon, Johnson and the House Republicans were set to surrender to the Democrats yet again on a major government spending fight. Rather than stand strong and fight for conservative priorities, Johnson is proposing a continuing resolution, or CR, to keep the federal government funded through the beginning of next year, $2 trillion. Unsurprisingly, the proposal does nothing to address the key issues plaguing the nation, such as the Biden-manufactured crisis at the U.S. southern border, and maintains already high spending levels. With the members of the House Freedom Caucus expected to vote against the measure, Johnson will need help from House Democrats to send the package to the Senate, giving leading House Democrats positive remarks about the bill. The GOP speaker will likely to get it. Here's a little tip for Republicans. If Representative Pramila Jayapal, however you say her name, Democrat from Washington, one of the House's most radical leftists, is praising your bill and claiming it includes two of the biggest things Democrats wanted, the chances are your bill sucks. Of course, none of this appears to matter to Johnson, who's been making the rounds on cable news to insult the intelligence of Republican voters by acting like this CR is the greatest thing since Elizabeth Warren discovered what a peace pipe is. During an interview on CNBC, the speaker tried to make the case that kicking the spending can down the road one more time is good because it's better than massive omnibus spending package that keeps government open for just as long one more time. So there's the Federalists bashing the Republicans, which they routinely and gratefully deserve. No doubt in my mind, they deserve it more than you know. Here is a different spin on the same subject. Just the News is reporting this. Johnson's two-step CR allows more time for cutting spending done with short-term spending bills. House Speaker Mike Johnson assured his colleagues that the general public that his two-step continuing resolution will allow the House GOP more time to reach a consensus on federal spending cuts, declaring that he will not pose any more short-term funding bills. We will see. Still, conservatives like Representative Matt Rosendale, a Republican from Montana, voted against the CR, and it ultimately passed by a bipartisan vote on Tuesday evening. Our country is facing $33 trillion of debt, 34. Spending has to change, Rosedale wrote Tuesday, and the social media platform X. The American people are tired of hearing that the Republicans are going to fight tomorrow. How many times have we heard this? In my lifetime, starting with Newt Gingrich, I'm a no on the CR. Johnson warned the U.S. government would have to borrow $1.5 trillion to cover federal spending over the next 2 quarters under the current trajectory. We are on an unsustainable track with our debt. There's no two ways about it, Johnson said Tuesday on Capitol Hill. The annual interest rate on the U.S. national debt has hit, or an annual interest has hit $1 trillion. The national debt is nearly $34 trillion. I want to cut spending right now. I would like to put policy writers on this, but when we have a 3-vote majority, as we do right now, we don't have the votes to be able to advance this right now, he said. Look, it took decades to get into this mess, right? I've been on the job less than 3 weeks. I can't turn the aircraft carrier overnight, he added. But this is very important first step to get us to the next stage so that we can change how Washington works by continuing how Washington works. It's kind of like we have to destroy capitalism in order to save capitalism when the Republicans helped Bush out. According to the House Majority Leader, Steve Scalise, the Further Continuing Apparatus and Other Extensions Act of 24 provides further continuing fiscal 24 apparatus to the federal agencies that fall under the military, construction, and Veterans Affairs, transportation and housing, urban development, agriculture, energy, and water appropriations bill through January 19th, 2024, and the remaining agencies through February 2nd, 2024. So the government will shut down again on January 19th and on February 24th. So we can go through this all again. Isn't it wonderful? Scalise said, the Scalise office said that the resolution allows significant time to pass, that the remaining funding and separates supplemental funding debates such as additional foreign aid to Ukraine and Israel. See, they passed it through the House. It's got to go through the Senate. The Senate's going to make some minor changes. Then it's going to have to go through reconciliation before the 17th. Today is the 16th. The 17th is tomorrow. Before they go on Thanksgiving break. But let me tell you what the minor changes, little tiny, itty bitty, non-consequential changes that the Senate will put into this bill, that the Republicans will have to go with tomorrow evening about midnight before they go on their vacation so they can go back and eat turkey with their constituents. And that little tiny itty bitty little thing that they're going to do is they're going to make it till December 25th. Mark my words. And then it'll have to go through reconciliation, and the Republicans will agree to it, and they'll do it again. They'll save the American people for Christmas. That's right, the Grinch. They're going to fight off the Grinch and save baby Jesus. That's what's going to happen. Mark my words on it. Don't believe me? It's all right. I don't care. It doesn't matter. I'm going to end you there, but there's a lot of videos here. Marjorie Taylor Greene going off on Mayorkas is on my Telegram page. You should check that one out. I got the entire latest episode with Candace Owens. The Tucker's on my Telegram page. You should check that one out. I don't have time to play any of that, but I do want to play this video. This is Donald Trump with his granddaughter as she shows off her desk at school.
I know, right? No grandpa.
There's Donald Trump with his beautiful granddaughter. Dan Scavino Jr. says, I love this, showing the other side of a man many don't get to see with his family. Excuse me. Donald Trump, you know, the evil Satan incarnated mega guy. Just remember, this man never gave up on us, and I'll be damned if I'm going to give up on him now. Trump 2024. I'm going to leave you with one more video that was posted earlier. I apologize about my cough. I'm getting over it, though, thank God. That was posted earlier on Donald Trump. Oh, I've got a conversation with oh, shoot. The conversation where Barbara Streisand says that she's going to leave the country if Trump wins. That's on my Telegram page, too. But here's Donald Trump with his recent post on his Instagram page.
Remember that nothing worth doing is ever easy. You'll have bad moments. You gotta love what you're doing. And if you don't, just do something else. Keep standing up always for your values. Keep loving your country. And one of the most important things, never, ever quit. Never quit. Then ask yourself, what imprint will you leave in the sands of history? What will future Americans say we did in our brief time right here on Earth? Did we take risks? Did we dare to defy expectations? Did we challenge accepted wisdom and take on established systems? In my short time in Washington, I've seen firsthand how the system is broken. A small group of failed voices who think they know everything and understand everyone want to tell everybody else how to live and what to do and how to think. But you aren't going to let other people tell you what you believe, especially when you know that you're right. I know that each of you will be a warrior for the truth. Will be a warrior for our country and for your family. I know that each of you will do what is right, not what is the easy way. And that you will be true to yourself and your country and your beliefs. Remember this, nothing worth doing ever came easy. Following your convictions means you must be willing to face criticism from those who lack courage or the guts or the stamina to take it and to do it. It's called the road less traveled.